Hello, my lovely scholars. Thank you for joining me on lesson 16, which is wanting us to be able to place whole number fractions and fractions between whole numbers on the number line. So let's go ahead and we are going to get started by completing the sprint for lesson 17. All right, so you're going to turn to the sprint from lesson 17, which is found just behind your lesson 16, and we're going to go ahead and start there. So just like we do in class, you are going to set a timer for 1 minute to be able to test yourself on how well you're able to answer these problems for the sprint. So go ahead and pause me for 1 minute, and then when you're done, we'll go ahead and check them together. Okay? All right, so you should have paused me for 1 minute. If not, go back, rewind, and pause so you can get that done. Let's go ahead and check the answers. Ready? Number 1, 1. Number 2, 1. Number 3, 1. 4, 1, 5, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 2, 10, 8, 8, 3, 10, 9, 9, 4, 10, 5, 4, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 9, 8, 9, 8, and 8 again. All right, so count the number that you got correct by yourself, and then let's go ahead and we'll get ready for side B. All right, so go ahead and just like you did on side A, you're going to pause me for 1 minute, and then we're going to go ahead and go through. All right, okay, so, all right, let's go ahead and check our answers. All right, so just like before, you should pause me so you can have 1 minute to answer. Now let's go ahead and go through. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Number 1 is 1. Number 2 is 1. Number 3 is 1. 4, 1. 5, 0. 0, 0, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 2, 10, 8, 8, 3, 10, 9, 9, 4, 10, 5, 4, 6, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 11, 9, 8, 9, 8, 8. All right, good job. All right, so we are going to be counting by halves from 1/2 to 6 halves, which represents 3 wholes, and then back down to 0. Ready? Go ahead and count with me. 1, 2, ready, go. 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves, reverse, reverse, 5 halves, 4 halves, 3 halves, 2 halves, 1/2, 0. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. This time we're going to be counting by thirds from 1/3 to 6/3. 1, 2, ready, go. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, reverse, reverse. 5/3, 4/3, 3/3, 2/3, 1/3, 0. All right, same thing, ready? On fifths. 1, 2, ready, go. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5, 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5, 10/5, 9/5, 8/5, 7/5, 6/5, 5/5, 4/5, 3/5, 2/5, 1/5, 0. All right, one more time. Let's do it again with our fourths. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 4th, 2, 4th, 3, 4th, 4, 4th, 5, 4th, 6, 4th, 7, 4th, 8, 4th, 7, 4th, 6, 4th, 5, 4th, 4, 4th, 3, 4th, 2, 4th, 1, 4th, 0. Excellent. All right, now what we are going to be doing is we are going to be putting numbers on a number line. So when I say the number, you're going to point on your computer, where do you think the fraction belongs on this number line? Ready? So the first one is 1/5. Where can we find 1/5 on a number line? Good, right about here. Okay, what about for 1/8? Where would we find 1/8? Would it be farther down the number line or closer to 0 on the number line than 1/5? Okay, so 1/8 would be right. All right, so to do that one, you could have done is broke it apart into 8 pieces and found 1/8. Okay, now, let's use that same thing. Let's find 7/8. Right there. Boop. Okay, 3/8. 3/8 is right here. Good. All right, what about 5/8? 5/8 will be right there. All right, here's our application warm-up question for today. It says, Hannah bought 1 yard of ribbon to wrap 4 small presents. She wants to cut the ribbon into equal parts. Draw and label a number line from 0 yards to 1 yard to show where Hannah will cut the ribbon. All right, so first thing that we are going to do is let's go ahead and draw a picture of 1 whole yard of ribbon. All right, so I've written it as a number line. So I did 1 whole yard, and I'm going to go ahead and label those from 0 to 1 to represent 1 whole. Now, the next thing it says was that she cut it into 4 small parts, which means I want to break my number line also into 4 equal pieces, right? We don't want one piece to be super big and one to be super small. We want to make sure that they are 4 equal parts. All right, so now it says it wants us to label those yards on the number line to show where she will cut the ribbon. So there's 1/4. The next one will be called 2/4, 3/4, and of course we can't forget about 0/4 and 4/4. And remember, 4/4 represents 1 whole. Whenever the numerator on top and the denominator on bottom are the same, that means that it's going to be equal to 1 whole. All right. Okay, on this activity, we are going to draw a number line with the endpoints 1 and 2 and then partition it into 4 equal lengths. This has already been done for us. Now, this is a little different because normally we go from 0 to 1, but today we are actually going to be starting at 1 and 2. All right, so if we are starting at 1, then what that means is that when we label our fractions and there's 4 equal pieces, that means that all of these are going to be something out of 4 because there are 4 equal pieces. Now, like I said, we are starting at 1. So if we know that 1 whole means the numerator and the denominator have to be the same, and we're talking about fourths, how many fourths would it take for us to be at 1 whole? Okay, very good. It will be 4/4. Now what we're going to do, now that we know we're starting at 4/4, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to label the rest of those fractions. So let's go ahead and do that. We have 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, and add 2 wholes. That gives us 8/4, which means that we would have gone around 4 one time and gone around another whole to give us 8/4. All right, let's do the same thing. But before we do that, let's go ahead and draw a box around the whole number. So we said that was going to be 4/4, and that was going to be at 8/4. All right, now let's go ahead and do that again with a different number this time. All right, so let's go ahead and start with 2/4. So the first thing it wants to know is what whole number is missing. So between a 2 and a 4 should be the number 3. Okay. The next step says partition each whole into 3 equal parts, or 3 equal lengths. All right, so I'm going to put them into thirds. And I am done. All right, so I broke it into thirds by putting 2 lines between each of those holes, and now I can go ahead and start setting up to label. So, all right, so now if we know that each of our holes was broken into 3 equal parts, then we know that our denominator that's going to go on each of those is going to be something out of 3, right? Because we're looking at thirds, that means that our denominator is going to be something out of 3. Now let's take a second and think about what would 2 wholes be, right? So we know that 1 whole would be 3/3. So we would need another 3/3 to give us another whole. So that means for 2 wholes, it's going to have to be 6/3. Good. And then it would be 6/3. Now we can start counting 6/3, 7/3, 8/3, 9/3 at 3 holes, 10/3, 11/3, and then at 4 holes, it would be 12/3, just like so. All right, so now that we've done that, the last instruction tells us that it wants us to label the whole fractions and box them in. So at the 6/3, that's going to be equivalent to 2. At 9/3, it's equivalent to 3, and 4/3 is equivalent to 4. All right, let's do it again one more time, but this time we're going to be going from 0 to 4. So in between 0 and 4, the whole numbers that are missing are 1, 2, and 3. All right, so it says partition each whole into 2 equal parts. Ready? Halves. Done. Now the next instruction tells us that it wants us to label the fractions. So if they're halves, what denominator would we use to represent halves? Good, it's going to be something over 2. All right, so now we get to go back and we can start labeling them. So we have 0 halves, 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 halves, and of course 8 halves to get us 4 wholes. All right, so now that we have done that, we've gone back, we've labeled them to show that every time we add 2 more, because they're halves, that's where we get another whole from. So we have 1, we add 2 more, becomes 2 holes. Add 2 more, now we're at 3 holes. Add another 2, now we're at 4 holes. All right, so let's go ahead and look at your problem set on question 1B, since number 1A is already done for you. The instructions say, estimate to equally partition and label the fractions on the number line. Label the wholes as fractions and then box them. The first one has been done for you. All right, so the key word that we need to focus on in this is the word thirds, because that tells us how many equal parts that we are going to need. So go ahead and we're going to break it apart into thirds, which means 3 equal pieces. Ready? 3 equal pieces. Now that we know that they're thirds, we know that we can, and that we are starting at 1 whole, we're not starting at 0. That tells us that our first fraction is going to be 3/3 because it's already going to be equal to 1 whole, just like so. All right, now from here, it's easy peasy. We're starting at 3/3 and we can continue counting on until we get to our next whole at 2. Ready? So count with me. So we have 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, and 6/3. All right, so the important thing that you want to remember on these questions is that you have to start at whatever number is shown first. So on this question, we started at 1 whole, which was 3/3 to help us, but be careful to make sure, see if it's starting at 0, 1, or maybe even a 2. Okay, so go ahead and you can complete the rest of the part independently. And I am available text, remind, email, and of course Zoom to do our lessons. And of course during Zoom you can come and do it with me, and if you have any more questions I can show you on the computer what it should kind of look like and help walk you through. So I hope that you've had a really good week. I miss y'all so dearly and I can't wait to see your faces again. Bye friends, love you, bye.